What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and I want to talk about something I noticed over the course of the last couple of weeks. I won't list who it is, but I've been watching content from, well, I watch multiple other YouTubers, but I've been watching content from one or two specific ones, and during a lot of their videos, they brought up a point that I feel completely opposite about, and it's a point that I never really thought about, and I want to look at what potentially could be their point of view as well as my point of view on it. So, as you've no doubt already surmised by the name of the video, it's about games that let you create your own character, create your own avatar, create your own whatever, customize your own character, etc, etc. Now, most of the time, when you play a game, I'd say the majority of the games, when you play them, they already have a specific character because they're looking to tell a specific story. Like, I'm looking at my Steam list right now of installed games, and I'm looking at games like Alan Wake, Batman Arkham, Arkham Knight, I couldn't even remember which one it was, Bayonetta, Bioshock Infinite, what else have we got here? Broken Sword, Dead Rising 2, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, Duke Nukem 3D, etc. The list goes on. Half-Life 2, Final Fantasy 7, let's see, Max Payne 3, Sonic Adventure, Resident Evil series. The point is that these games, the developers of these games and the writers of these games, they have a specific character in mind for their story, and they're telling that character's story. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. I've no problem with that whatsoever. Because remember, if you're representing and you're playing a version of yourself, for some people, what that will actually do is it will let them be more immersed and more interested in the game, and it will let them enjoy it a bit more. It doesn't go for everyone, but for some people, I feel like that's why developers have given the option to do this, or to take this version of their story and make it playable by yourself rather than a certain character. And another perfect example of this is I was talking to a friend of mine. She knows I'm a guy, obviously, because, well, it's obvious, but I was mentioning that I may play Stardew Valley lately, or I may start it sometime soon of an upcoming one, and she suggested that I play a chick and try pick up dudes, but obviously she knows I'm a guy, and I'm just like, no, I like to kind of insert myself into the game, like a representative of who I am, and go from there. I just thought it was interesting to mention that I realize that other people have these points of views and that they're not wrong. It's just they do exist, and it's very rare that I come across them. This kind of, like I said, the thinking that made me want to make this video is something that never crossed my mind whatsoever, because I was always under a firm belief that there was two types of games when it came to making characters, and there was ones that the developers and the writers already had their own story they wanted to tell for a specific character, and there was ones that let you make your own character and essentially put a representation of whoever or whatever you want into the game. Now, the way I always understood this was they wanted you to create, we'll call it an in-game variant of yourself, and put them into this world, because sometimes it can be as what's the best way to describe it? Sometimes it can be something as simple as creating yourself in a modern, realistic, standard game or standard world to do something that you couldn't do. One of the specific reasons that this whole video came about is that I was actually watching a video of one of the WWE games, one of the more recent ones, and the people that were talking about the video and the whole thing going on, apparently they consider it extremely narcissistic to create a version of yourself to put into that game. And this is something that never crossed my mind, and I don't believe they're right, to be honest, but that's why I want to bring this up. So the way I understood it is, if you, let's say, again, let's use WWE as the example. This is something that exists in real life, has no superhuman abilities or no far out of this world requirements. It can literally be done by almost anyone. You just need dedication, time, and, well, to an extent, skill and learning ability, as well as a huge amount of course, athletic ability and all as well. But the point is, it's realistically achievable. But most people can't do it for whatever reason, be it their own, laziness or don't want to or whatever. And what if in the case of this, why would it be narcissistic to put a version of yourself into, let's just call it a world or a sport or whatever. In WWE, it's wrestling. It's pro. Actually, it's not even wrestling. It's pro professional entertainment or whatever they call it nowadays. That kind of makes me sad. But anyway, to put yourself into this world that you can't be in real life, that makes sense to me. Like I wouldn't consider that narcissistic at all. And let's look at a big game like a big role playing game. Now, the most common ones here would be Morrowind, Skyrim, Oblivion. I would hesitate to put Fallout 4 in there, but you get the idea. I'm just looking at what games I have installed here and going from that. Let's use Morrowind and Skyrim as the main examples. So when you look at that, these are games and these are worlds and whatever that are created in a way that are completely unrealistic. They're completely non-obtainable and completely unrealistic because let's face it, we don't have giant lizard people walking around despite what Alex Jones may have you believe. And there's all sorts of magic, there's all sorts of crazy flying dragons, there's all sorts of, demonistic summonings and all this crap, and that's just real life. Joking. But anyway, you get my point. So to create, again, it makes the developer, or at least in my mind, the developer makes this game to allow you to create a custom character, or in this case, create yourself, and insert yourself into their world to experience their story and experience everything their world has to offer. That's the way I always understood these. That's why I never once it even crossed my mind to consider it like narcissistic to be putting a version of yourself into a game, be it a game that is based in reality that you just can't do. We'll use WWE as the example, or based in fantasy, which is just completely wild and unobtainable. Again, Elder Scrolls games. So what do you think? Do you think either one of them is right? Because when you look at it, there's of course arguments for whatever. Personally, I would lose a little bit of interest in a game if I was playing, let's just say, if I was playing Skyrim as, like Bozo the Khajiit Clown. That wouldn't be very fun for me personally. But again, at the same deal, you can also use it as, yes, there are, in my opinion at least anyway, there are acceptable variations and versions of wacky characters to use. Let's look at WCW versus NWO Revenge, or what most people would probably know, WWF No Mercy. So you have these great wrestling games with huge amounts of customizable characters, customizable everything. Of course, yeah, it's wrestling again. Put yourself in there. Give yourself all your favorite moves, your favorite attributes, your favorite intros, your favorite entrances, your favorite finishers, special moves, high flying, whatever. Jesus, there's lots of fucking F's there flying out. So, yeah, do that. Create a bunch of wacky characters as well. But in games with narratives and stories and stuff, I always just thought it was completely normal to put a version of yourself in, essentially. Sure, you might change the name slightly to fit a little bit more with the world. I mean, I come from a background, now this is way, way back in the day, but I come from the background where we had like D&D and all this shit. So, you were essentially, you'd have your character, personally I was a mage, but you'd have your character and you would kind of combine it with a little bit of yourself to fit into the world, I mean, you can't have a mage in a high fantasy game called Retro Q Gaming, can you? No, it just doesn't work. So you see what I mean? I mean, it goes with other games where the names slightly change and all as well. But you get my point. So what do you think? Do you think it's acceptable to make games to insert yourself into a huge story or narrative that is both realistic or unrealistic, by which I mean, say, Skyrim versus, let's say, WWE? Or do you think that you're a complete narcissist, egotist, whatever, if you do? Although that one kind of does fit me as well, from what I'm told. But the point is, what do you think of it? Do you think it's acceptable? Do you think it's normal? Do you think it's... I don't know. I think... I know I didn't... I'm not mentioning them by name or anything, but the guys who made this video, I think they're wrong. I know it's their opinion, and there's only two opinions that are wrong. One of which that Destiny 1 and 2 are good, and the other of which Borderlands is not good. But Actually, there'd be three opinions, because the other one would be that Secret of Mana isn't the best game ever, that which would also be an incorrect, factually wrong opinion. But the point is that I think these guys' opinion, I won't say it's wrong, I don't agree with it, if you ask me. And, well, this video is my evidence for why I don't agree with it. So let me know in the comment section below what you think about the whole deal. Do you think it's... Well, we've covered it already. So let me know all of that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.